Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today with Hillview Farms. My name is Kirsten. I'm the CEO here at Birchal. And before I introduce Jason and Ashley, I'd just like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that we're calling in from today. So Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I myself am on the lands of the Garigal and the Gayamigal people of the Eora Nation. And so, on behalf of the team at Birchal, I'd like to pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. So, today I am joined by Jason and Ashley from Hillview Farms. Birchal is working with Hillview Farms on an upcoming crowdsourced funding offer. For those of you who might not know what crowdsourced funding is, it's also known as equity crowdfunding, and it's a form of fundraising in Australia that allows startups and small growing businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller investors, which can be retail investors or wholesale and sophisticated investors through an online platform like Birchal. So instead of seeking funding from traditional sources like banks or venture capitalists, companies can instead turn to the general public and their communities to raise money in exchange for investors becoming shareholders in their businesses. So for founders and business owners, this is a way to turn passionate supporters into shareholders. And for investors, it's a way to back founders and ideas that you want to see succeed. And it gives you as well a slice of their success when they do succeed. Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary on this offer. The information discussed on this webinar is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as advice or as a recommendation to invest. We have not considered your personal circumstances when we have been preparing for this webinar, nor in what we're saying. So please do your own research. Always consider the offer document and the general CSF risk warning before investing. And if you need more information, everything is available over on our website at birchal.com. Now, today our session is going to run with Jason and Ashley giving a bit of an introductory overview to what they're building at Hillview Farms, and then we'll switch to the Q&A session. So if you look to the bottom of your Zoom screen, just down here, you'll see a Q&A box. And so if you have questions ready to go now, or as we work through the discussion today, feel free to drop them into the Q&A and then I'll facilitate the discussion between Jason and Ashley. We are recording today's session, so if you do have to jump off early before we finish the discussion, the recording will be sent around afterwards. So without further ado, I would love to hand over to Jason and Ashley. Team, can you give us a bit of an intro to what you're building?
Absolutely. So, hi, I'm Ashley, my partner Jason.
Hi.
We purchased the farm Hillview in Batlow in 2011, and it was going to be a hobby farm. There was no plan for a business. I worked at Flight Centre for 16 years. Jason had his own business with a nationwide contract. We were both doing very well. And he brings me down to Batlow one day, and I thought we were just meeting his parents. But no, he takes me out to this farm that he'd been looking at in the window. And I honestly thought he was just trying to impress me by, oh, let's just buy this farm. But we were blown away. It was stunning. The waterfall is what sold it for us. Yes, there was an apple orchard, but it was the waterfall that really made him go, yes, sold. So it was the Saturday that we looked at it. On the Sunday, he bought it. So we initially started just planting what we thought might grow, and that sort of turned into selling at the Friday forage in Tumut, where we sold out of everything that we had grown, and we were like, this is pretty cool. Then Jason made a few phone calls and we started doing the organic food markets in Sydney. So we were at Orange Grove and Marrickville, Double Bay, Hornsby. There were a couple of others as well, but we did that for 5 years from 2015 to 20. And then of course, COVID hit, but before that it was the fires that hit Batlow, which was horrendous. And we lost quite a bit in that. But then yes, COVID hit after that. And we went from doing 100 so orders a week to over 3,000. It was bonkers. It was just quite a time. I, working at Flight Centre at the time, called upon quite a few of my they'd been stood down, Flight Centre staff. So they came and helped with the 700 emails that we had in our inbox. And they also helped pack the orders. We moved into this huge warehouse in Leichhardt and just pumped out home deliveries in the thousands for a couple of years. So that was how the business grew. But yeah, it's just been a sort of a roller coaster ride since then, with opening a shop now. When we've moved down to Avalon, we stayed in Sydney for many years, and then the land was calling us back, I should say. And I'll get Jason to continue on from there.
Yeah, so just back to the online sales, I had an app developed for us back in 2017, and that's when we started doing home deliveries, which put us in good stead for when COVID hit. We were able to ramp that up pretty quickly. And yeah, it led to sort of thousands upon thousands of orders per week, which is when all the small competitors that have since come and gone came into the industry. Made it a bit difficult for long-term operators, but we came out the other side still standing, and we're now in that phase where we've settled into how we've been doing things. We've wanted for a long time to move back down to the farm and to bring the business back down to this area as well. And the opportunity arose about 5 months ago, and we have not looked back since we've done it. We're now obviously at the next phase of expanding our retail network down here, increasing the areas we're delivering to. We're about to bring on Wagga, Canberra, Albury, Wodonga, and potentially Melbourne from here as well, as we're geographically, we're about halfway between Sydney and Melbourne. So it will allow us to service a much larger area. At the same time, whilst being on the farm, one, we're able to do a lot more of the growing and the management of the farm ourselves. But two, it's allowing us to do what we've always wanted to do and build some luxury farm stay accommodation on the farm, and to invite all our customers that forever have been asking us to come visit our farm, where it's going to allow us to bring those customers down. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue on?
I can jump in with a question. Yeah, so it's such a lovely story, and really appreciate you taking the time to take us through it. So it's interesting to me to hear that you've both had these sort of other careers before you've come to the business that you have now. How do you find that experience helps you, and how has it kind of helped you spot these opportunities as they've come up?
Yeah, well, customer service has always been my thing. I can talk to anybody about anything. And so that's really helped with obviously the customer service side of things with the business, and also in the shop as well. I would love to get back to booking our accommodation though. I thought, if I'm not doing travel anymore, but I could book our own accommodation, I would love to do that. So yes, I'm definitely the customer service, operation, logistics kind of for the delivery side of things, whereas Jason is very much the business side and works with all the farmers. And yeah, we definitely have our distinct roles, and his background and both my background are being used, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I had a corporate background, but an operational background, corporate off the back of operational. So it's very similar to an extent. It's organising movement of product, organised product to be ready at the right time, whether it's growing and picking at the right time or getting stock in from other growers at the right time. So that's been extremely handy. The compliance side of things, I've done a fair bit of work in compliance in my previous roles. So that's also assisted in getting the software side of things all in place and operating well. So our backgrounds are very much a part of how we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. And so you did mention the kind of like rise of competitors or similar players in this space, particularly during COVID and the sort of change in the way people were ordering. But a lot of them have disappeared and you guys are still here. So what do you think it is that gives you that sort of sustainable competitive advantage over the other similar players?
Yeah, I love answering this question and love talking about it. We're farmers first and foremost. Our business was built off the back of growing products. And we were operating well before this wave of the likes of Milk Run, and they're the biggest one that wasted $87 million in 18 months. Yeah, absolute crazy.
I was like, give me one of those million, and I just can't believe what they blew.
We've actually done far more orders than Milk Run managed to do with $87 million with
That's impressive.
No real investment.
188,000, just over, actually, like 188,107 or something, I think it is today.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, having that longer term in our industry, and the business wasn't developed to do large quantities in an instant, and all these companies that have come and gone, and there's others still lingering in the market, they're all about market share, all about getting big numbers so they can ramp up their turnover and on-sell their business for a multiple of whatever their turnover is. We're very different to that. We're first a farm and a family, and off the back of that, we've got to feed our family and keep our farm running. So our business is a long-term thing. It's not a fast money, put your money in, we'll quadruple it in 3 years. We're more long-term, which is why we're putting the tourism side into the business as well. You don't build eco huts or any farm stay accommodation, any proper accommodation, if it's a short-term thing. So we're more about long-term return.
And diversifying. So that we've got multiple revenue streams as well.
Yeah. So we now have our online system, which turns tidy amount. We've got our retail system that does the same, and we're adding in that third area to generate income in the farm stay accommodation, which is in the agritourism sector, which is a massively growing segment of the tourism sector. So it's diversification and continually developing and diversifying as well is what's probably allowed us to get through the tough time that everyone else went out of business.
Yeah, and just talking through that timeline again that you sort of touched on earlier. So you started operating in 2015, 2017, I think you said you started developing the app to sit behind it. COVID hit and everything went crazy when it came to, food to door services, but you guys were able to scale up your operations to meet that demand. But you also had that experience of the pre-COVID times running this specific business to sort of, I guess, know that that this might just be a period of time and things will go back to normal, which obviously they did. Whereas the others that came in that peak time sort of weren't able to adapt to the smaller market conditions.
Yeah.
No, that's right. We always knew that it was going to go back to what it was pre-COVID. So it was very, very different to a company that established itself on craving volume, which happened at the beginning, but that initial crave was at the peak of the market. So it was never going to work for any of them. And for us, we just kept our eye on the fact that we weren't going to be doing this constantly. And that's why as soon as COVID started to die off, we went into a retail space. We didn't go back initially to doing the farmers markets. We went into our own retail space, which we saw as a transition for the business to the next stage. And that's led us to where we are now.
Yeah, great. And so when we're talking about sort of scale and volume and your plans to grow looking forward, how do you plan to balance that kind of ambition that you have for where the business is going to go with that authenticity of the, the farm to door service that you're known for?
Yeah, good question. Since we've been down at the farm permanently, we have made so many more connections with local growers. On the weekend, we were invited to an event I'll let Ashley talk about that. But what's come out of that already is we have a new egg supplier, all regen, chemical-free farming, a new range of mushrooms, a new range of microgreens, a new
Honey.
Yeah, an additional honey supplier, a new pork producer. So being down here and being based down here is going to allow us to expand that footprint that we've diversified our supplier base. So that means any peaks and troughs that come from one grower will be counteracted by the new growers that we're able to bring on. And there are so many small producers down in this area and every other regional area in Australia as well. So being closer to that heartbeat allows us to work with more and more of them, as opposed to needing to build up the volume quickly with bigger growers that are still producing the way we need our produce to be produced. But having a much larger number of small suppliers is a better option for us and for the business to sustain itself. And those smaller businesses will grow with our growth as well.
So you kind of amalgamate of a bunch of smaller farms and, and growers in the region, pull it together, and then you're the gateway to your buyer.
To getting it to market, basically. That's as simple as it is. It's funny because I've always hated middlemen in farming. We're doing a lot of farming ourselves still, so we're not. You're
not 100% a middleman.
No, but we're giving opportunity to people to get their produce to major capital cities that would never have that opportunity. It is impossible for a farmer to run a farm and drive to somewhere like Sydney or Melbourne from where we are here and do a market on a weekend and then come back. No one's going to tend to the chickens. No one's going to water the crops while they're away. So we're opening that gateway for people to be able to expand what they're doing.
Yeah, amazing. That's kind of a related answer, I think, to one that's just come through on the Q&A, which is there any distinction in your produce in terms of the items that you sell or the quality versus other farm delivery options available?
Yeah, definitely. We're chemical free, and our produce gets to market generally, compared to a supermarket, a week quicker, compared to wholesale buying, probably 2 to 3 days quicker. Our produce is always fresher, and that's our customers that have been buying of us for 10 years now.
Some are up to 400 orders.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the agritourism and the accommodation. So how confident are you in the demand and how are you thinking about the plans there?
Yeah. Look, there is a couple of decent sized operators in the area, not close by to where we are. And they are extremely successful. They're renting out their huts. They're 3 to 4 months in advance. They're booked out. And there's one in particular in Gundagai that their asking prices are $600 to $750 a night.
Yeah, right.
Now, our huts will be equally, if not nicer than them.
Definitely newer.
Well, of course.
Yeah, but the one advantage we've got is our landscape. No one can replicate the landscape we have with
Everyone that comes to our waterfall is just blown away.
Yeah.
And 3.5 kilometres of creek frontage is just fishing galore. It's
brown and rainbow trout.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
That's one of the key factors that will make the accommodation side of the business successful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is another question that's come through. So we've already got the sort of straight up eco retreat, getting out of the city and having some time in nature. You've mentioned the trout fishing. What other sort of local attractions does the area have around you that's
Oh,
going to help draw people down there?
so
Down
many.
there, up
So
there as well.
Where do we
start?
start?
I've become like the new tourism spokesperson for like Batlow and Adelong.
I love it.
I guess it's my travel background. Why you should come to us. Okay, so in Batlow, there's the sculpture by it's called the Snowy Valley Sculpture Trail. It was started by David Handley, who started Sculpture by the Sea from the Bondi to Bronte. So that they are permanent sculptures in and around the Riverina, the Snowy Valleys. So there's a bunch of them in Batlow. There's also heaps in Adelong, where our shop is. Also in Tumbarumba. So Batlow is in between Tumbarumba and Adelong's where our shop is. There's the farm in Batlow, and then there's Tumbarumba. Tumbarumba, which is half an hour away, has a world-class mountain bike riding facility and the rail trail. So people come from all over to go bike riding. It's just stunning scenery. There's of course our shop. That's why they should come, because it's gorgeous. There's the Apple Thief Cider House, which is in Batlow. That's recently opened this year. They have award-winning cider. So that's spectacular. You walk through their apple orchard to go into the cider house now, and it's just state-of-the-art, gorgeous.
There's a number of wineries in the local
in the region
as well.
There's in Adelong, where the shop is, there's obviously more sculptures, but there's the old Adelong Falls, which is the old gold mine, which is just so interesting. There's also a cute little museum in Adelong as well that has all the history of everything. So that's just Adelong, Batlow and Tumbarumba. Then there's the rest of the Snowy Valleys as well.
Yeah. You have the Snowy hydro system, so the dams.
The dam, Flowering
Dam. Which they're during summer there's tens of thousands of people that camp around those grounds.
Gundagai is not far, so if you go to the box, like there's so much in Gundagai. We actually sell all of the Gundagai bread now, and yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
We're only in where the shop is in Adelong. We're an hour from Wagga, or not quite an hour.
Yeah.
So there is so much tourism in this area, and the scenery. I have to drive up to Tumbarumba at least once a week to pick up meat from our butcher up there, Tumba Meats, and the drive up there, I go the back way, and it's up through all the pine plantations and the forest, and you're on top of the world. It is just
literally, you're in the clouds.
Yeah, it is just phenomenal. It's
like driving through Tuscany. It's so picturesque.
Oh, it sounds divine. You guys are doing a great job of selling it as well. I'm sure you'll have all of the people who are watching this recording will be Googling the region.
Snowy Valleys.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the way your energy for not just what you're building in the business, but the local region that you're a part of really comes through when you talk about it as well.
Yeah.
This energy has what we have been like, or since we purchased the farm, since we did my first Facebook post saying we have 15 kilos of chestnuts that we've just harvested, because there's 40 chestnut trees on Jason's parents' side of the farm. We've got 2 properties, theirs and ours. And that post was 14 years ago. I'm like, I've got chestnuts. Who wants some? What do you do with them? And I'd never had chestnuts before. And now I'm an expert on, how to cook them and make such and such out of them. So everything that we've grown over the years and shared with not just our family, but friends, and then gone to market with, we love it. We love what we do.
It's a different feel down here to living in a city. I grew up on a farm, moved to the city straight after high school, and was there ever until we've come back here sort of 4 months ago. And it is different. It is completely different. Whether you're visiting here or living here permanently, it's a completely different world to living in a capital city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about seasonal fluctuations. So I know you mentioned the big fires in Batlow a couple of years ago earlier. Obviously, that's an extreme example of a sort of seasonal variation. But how does the regular kind of flow of seasonal fluctuations affect the business model across both the produce delivery side and the accommodation side?
Yeah.
So from a produce perspective, everyone needs to eat every single day. So it does not affect what products we're growing, what we're harvesting, what we're selling will vary, but does not change. From a tourism perspective, it's different time of the year bring different attractions. We're sort of an hour and a half from Mount Selwyn. So during that season, we have a house in Batlow that we've been doing as a small tourism accommodation, and we've had people staying there, from local workers to people going to the snow, people just getting out of the city for a weekend, and that's been sort of year round that happens. Different times of the week, I guess. We're going to also, with the accommodation, be targeting corporate retreats and that type of thing. So more the midweek bookings, whereas the weekend are the people coming down for tourism. And like we were saying, with so many local attractions, the mountain bike trail, they've put 3 trails. The guys that built the mountain bike trails over the other side of the Snowy Mountains, they are at the front of this. They've developed it and they're running it. They're world-class mountain bike trails, and there is limited accommodation in the local area. So there is big demand. And the seasonal fluctuations will purely mean people will one time be going to the snow, another time they'll be going mountain biking, another time they'll be going out to the dam to fish and water ski.
But from, say, like our online deliveries might go down a little bit in school holidays because people are going away, but we find that the shop increases in that time because we're getting those people, we're getting those tourists that come to the shop. So what might go down in one area goes up in another. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, and each different season brings, you know, different produce focus, different attractions in the local region.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We grew so many watermelons this year, and you know, that was just, you know, summer was like all about the Hillview watermelons. It was, yeah.
Oh, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a feel for the margin across these sort of different parts of the business, sort of like the produce, the store, the accommodation, and how that compares to others in the industry? So this is one coming through the Q&A.
Yeah, look, we're a little bit above, or quite a bit above, what industry standards are from the produce side of the business. And that's for a number of reasons. One, it's the sourcing, growing ourselves or sourcing direct from growers. From the tourism side of things, our price point will be set by the market. Our margins, it's low input. Once these huts are built, it's very low input, relatively high price point. So extremely good margins.
Yeah, I guess you've got that sort of capital cost up front to build the accommodation, but then the actual running cost is fairly low once it's all set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I hope that answered the question, but our margins are strong across what we're currently doing and what we envisage, what we're planning with the new accommodation side of the business.
Yeah, great. And just for investors on the call as well, when the offer does go live in a little over a week's time, the offer document will contain a lot of information with this kind of detailed analysis of the business fundamentals as well. So if that didn't answer the question, feel free to shoot through another one, but otherwise we can come back to you once that document is ready to go. Let's talk about your customers because, as you mentioned, you've had a number of customers that have been with you for a long time, huge number of individual orders. That says something in a business where there are plenty of alternatives on the market that they're choosing to stick with you. What has been your customer acquisition strategy? How do you find them? How do you win them over? How do you maintain this sort of strong customer retention?
Can I just say hi to the ones that are likely to be on this call, because I saw all their names in the list, and I know a few of them are likely to be on the call right now, so thank you. I think fantastic customer service is at the heart of maintaining a customer for life. And going back to my flights in a days, text is best. No one has time for phone calls. No one really answers the phone anymore. And emails, you check throughout the day, but everyone has a phone or a device or a phone, whatever. And if it's just a quick question, or, we don't have this, they weren't available this week, or, would you like this instead? A quick text with a response is.
And look, one of the biggest things, and we're finding that being down at the farm, we're able to do a bit more of it, but communicating on our socials, letting people know what we're doing, what we're growing. We went to Good Food Riverina event last weekend, just being honest with our customers and letting them know, telling them our story. Everyone that comes into the new shop, we tell the story, and they're like, oh, we live in Sydney, can we get a flyer? Just that open and honest country. Yeah.
Social media has definitely been a big one. That email as well. Once I have your number in my phone, text is best.
We don't think that everyone looks at our emails and our socials, but I think it's proven by our customer retention and customer loyalty that everyone does, and everyone knows what the story is, and everyone is keen to see what's going on next. So yeah.
I know that during COVID we had like a big marketing company doing emails a lot for us, and I think they overkilled it. And I'm keeping it sort of simple to 1 or 2 a week now. So I'm sorry for anyone who got bombarded with so many emails during COVID.
I love it. And where do you see the business going in sort of 3 to 5 years? So we're at September 2025 now. Let's look forward to around 2030. What do you want Hillview Farms to look like by then?
Well, all the huts are built.
The hut's completed and look solid.
Massive wait list.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. Well, how old's Jack going to be? Because Jack was talking on the way home the other day how he's going to take over the business, and we were like, well, that's absolutely the long term. That's what we want.
And he's nine.
He's 9, so
he might be a little young in 2030 to take it over.
Yeah, maybe, but he's pretty good at hiring and firing, I've got to tell you.
So we want to get this accommodation side of the business established and working properly. From our produce side, our delivery side, we want to expand those areas, and we've been doing no marketing lately just because we've been trying to settle back into the new site and getting all that working properly or ticking along. We will ramp up our marketing again at some point in the next couple of months. And our customer acquisition cost runs between $10 and $12, which is extraordinarily cheap. So we, now being at the farm and being at the centre of the food bowl to supply to everyone, we can increase those numbers pretty well as far as we want. So we would like to get it to, we're doing the packing in the shop facility we have at the moment. We would like to add a further packing shed onto the actual farm and do our online delivery and distribution directly from there and have the shop solely as a retail outlet. I have already earmarked the next location for us to open a retail outlet, and that's probably something that I haven't sort of spoken about much. Where we are in Adelong, it's a smallish town. There's about population of about 800. There is a small supermarket, but fresh produce, being in a food growing area, fresh produce is lacking.
There's no farmers
dramatically
market for them, for anyone. And
we have the support that we have seen. To give it perspective, when we were running a shop 6 months ago in the middle of Rozelle, Balmain, we are turning over more in the shop down here in 3 months than what we were in Rozelle, significantly more. And it's growing every day.
Never did this much.
Yeah, rent costs are 10% of Sydney.
Yeah.
So I have plans to replicate that, not rapidly, but I have plans already for the next location, and I would hope in the next 6 months we will open the next location. And there are so many towns of similar size with the same issues that are on our routes that we're doing deliveries anyway. So I do plan to open significantly more over the next sort of 5 to 6 years of the retail outlets, which also adds on the ability to service more and more delivery customers. So that's
exciting.
the produce side of things. From the accommodation side of things, just going back to our landscape on our farm, it is impossible to replicate that. But there are locations around the country, there are farms that have maybe not equally as good, but very, very good outlooks. So there is no reason that if we can nail this accommodation side of the business, that we can't. I don't know if franchising is the right route, but some way of replicating what we're doing, whether it's managing the system for other farms to be able to do the same thing, developing a system to be able to do that. I'm not sure what structure that would take, but that is definitely an area I want to pursue, because...
So let's build these first.
Yeah, build it, test it yourself, package it up in some way, and then sort of work with other farmers to give them the chance to show off the beauty on their properties as well.
Yeah,
awesome. I mean, I love hearing about all of the different various directions that it could take. You guys are clearly thinking big picture as you're thinking about how you build and grow the business. Tell us a little bit about how technology is going to play a role in some of those plans.
So technology, food's food. Technology doesn't really help food, not when you're growing it regeneratively. It's all hands-on, but the technology of being able to get that, technology needed to be able to get that to the customer. So our ordering systems, our delivery tracking systems, one thing that we want to bring in the near future is on-farm camera systems, so people can actually log on and have a look at what's growing and what's happening on the farm at any given time. And that will obviously enhance the tourism side of things. People will see that and say, let's go have a look at this farm. So technology is a support for what we're doing. It's an integral part of the business. It's not the main part of the business, the growing and the produce is, but technology is absolutely a part of that. There is, from an agricultural perspective, there is so much technology coming into the industry. So anything that will help our systems, our growing, our retail side, our tourism side, we will incorporate that into the business without hesitating.
Yeah, great. But sort of as an enhancement rather than as the kind of core of the offering. Yeah. Awesome. Just quickly to investors on the call, so we've got around 20 minutes to go. Just a reminder, if you haven't already put your questions in the Q&A box, please jump in and drop them in now so that I can make sure that I get to ask them before the end of our discussion. My next question. So you guys have mentioned a couple of times about expanding the regions that you'll do produce delivery to. So I think you're currently sort of heading up to Sydney, but
Sydney.
sort of looking at
Yeah.
Canberra, potentially even sort of other areas to the south. How do you go about deciding where to open up your produce delivery regions? How do you make that choice around the expansion?
Look, we get a lot of feedback off one, customers online, and two, customers coming in store. They are constantly telling us, "Oh, I've got family here. Can you send something here?" Or I've got. There was someone not long ago that, in reference to Canberra, they had a heap of family and friends there, and they're like, "Let us know as soon as you get into you're doing Canberra, so that we can let everyone know and get them to start ordering off you." So it's that's honestly that's what guides us. There's no magic algorithm or system or anything. It's purely what the demand we
It's pull
see.
from your customers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we run a pretty lean delivery system as well. So for us to trial an area, it's not a major headache, and our current cash flow supports us doing something like that. So if we were to bring Canberra on tomorrow, we only had 20 orders a week or something, then it's worth our while doing it and developing it over 6 to 12 months to where we've got a full truck of orders going in there each
It wouldn't
week
just
or
be
whatever.
Canberra though, would it? It would be
No,
the postcodes
so
that are on route would
yeah,
also be
so
included into that.
Mm.
So if I don't know,
yeah,
the guy, I can't work it out from here, but whatever is on that
route
road
those
would
areas.
also be included, so that
Mm.
we can pick up those on the way.
And as far as I understand it, fresh produce delivery, most of these smaller regional areas have no option. They have to go to town. They have to go to a bigger town or a bigger city to be able to get their fresh produce. So I wouldn't say it's a captive audience, but it's an option that they would never have had before, and which is a positive thing. But the negative thing is all country people are stuck in their ways a bit. So it will take a bit of time to let people know we're there and for them to develop that trust and relationship in a
Mm.
new system, a new way of getting their food.
We've had a really supportive, we've had a really good start down here with deliveries though. We're delivering to Tumbarumba, Tumut, Adelong, obviously, Batlow, and then Wagga's going to be next. But yeah, it's
We actually do have. I can't say too much about it, but we've been invited to join it's not a co-op, but it's a new food hub that's going to be put in to
Wagga.
Wagga, with growers only.
Yeah.
So it will be more or less a permanent farmers market. So
Yeah,
in
great.
the 3 months we've been down here, we've already got that invite, and we would be the only produce grower in there as well. So
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's great to know from an investor perspective, I think, that you've got that ability with the logistical footprint that you already have to trial new areas without a huge upfront
yeah,
expense commitment. You can test it out, you can grow organically by the customer word of mouth from the customers that you have and, build out that region. Like, I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
yeah. It all comes back to, again, what I said early on, not trying to go too big too quickly. Good things develop over time.
Yeah, spoken like a true farmer. Um, Let's talk about those relationships that you have with the partner farms. So you mentioned you've sort of got 30 or so partner farms who you work with. Each of them are dealing with their own kind of environmental, changes and fluctuations. So what happen? How do you approach managing those partners, and what happens if one of them isn't able to meet their demand?
So a couple of things Ashley touched on before. If for whatever reason we're unable to have a certain product, we'll communicate that to our customers. There was a period there with the floods in Sydney, where there was a lot of products that we couldn't get. We just communicate that to our customers. When the farmer has things available, we'll immediately jump on them and help them move them. If they don't have something available, then we're flexible in how we do that as well. And we have sort of 3 different streams on our online sales. One is a subscription, so we know in advance what that customer wants. Then we have our what we call pick and pack. So like if you went into a supermarket, you just buy what you want. And then we have our set boxes as well. So we're able to vary our set boxes on any given day. So if the cauliflowers got washed out, or something happened, they couldn't get to market, we can replace them with something that we do have plenty of at the time. And we can pick that sort of day before or day of if need be.
Yeah, great. Let's talk about the risk side. What are the things that keep you guys up at night, and what are you doing to try and mitigate them?
Look, farming's inherently risky. So there is always those concerns about whether the rain's going to come at the right time, if it's going to come at all. We're in the Snowy Valleys. We're on the back end of a drought that we've had running for 18 months, 2 years. We have the good thing with our farm, we have a very reliable water source in the Gilmore Creek. We have a license to irrigate out of that. But yeah, general farming things, the weather is the biggest one.
The weather for deliveries too. I feel horrible when one of the drivers has to like get out in the rain. It's pouring like it has been in Sydney. So the weather from delivery point of view as well.
Yeah, and we see that in store as well. If it's a rainy day and it's a one-off rainy day, we'll be very quiet. So managing stock levels when that sort of thing happens, it can be difficult. But again, if we're left with excess of something in the stock, then we use that in our set boxes to go out that day. So there's always
on special in the email for the next week. I mean, those rainy days quiet in the shop are the perfect opportunity to get emails out to customers, and you use that time, don't you? So yeah.
Risk from the tourism side of things. There are so many risks that are potential contributors there, from economical, whether people have money to go away, to coronavirus. Managing those risks by what I said with looking at corporate retreats, holiday season, and then eventually we will add in more to the hospitality side. Initially, we will be offering, people will be able to go online, do an order to be packed in the fridge and the cupboards when they arrive at the hut. But eventually we would like to bring in more like cooking lessons on farm with what's in season at the time, so people can go and do those classes, farm tours, so just tour around how we do things, what we do. And all these things can be done without the need for the accommodation. So it's a different revenue stream. Not a huge one, but they're all little add-ons. Eventually, we would be interested in looking at small weddings, where people book the whole venue out. We have it, bring a chef in and prepare a reception for them. So yeah,
there's massive opportunities there. Yeah,
but yes,
the cooking,
so the risks are counteracted, I think, by the different ways we're able to raise revenue. Like I said, the produce side of the business is always going to be there. People always need produce. So that's going to be a stable pretty well no matter what. Yeah.
And it seems like the way you've set things up already on the produce side and the way you're thinking about it on the accommodation side, there's always these kind of little, if this happens, then this options to sort of keep it used. If the shop's quiet, then we can put it on special or we can pack it into the boxes. If there's a reduction in one piece of, one item of produce, then we can backfill it with another. If there's a surplus of chestnuts, then we can find a way to deal with them.
There is no wastage, whether it's juicing or drying or making jam. There is no wastage in our shop.
That's the benefit of being a small business, being able to be extremely flexible on your decisions and fast on those decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a follow-up question on the risks around, speaking of weather, is drought a concern, and how is the water resources in the region?
Yeah, so in a straight line within a kilometre probably, or maybe 2.5 kilometres, we have the Snowy hydro system. We have the Gilmore Creek running through our property, which has never dried up. We have an irrigation licence that we're allowed to use off that. So the water resource is good. When it comes to the cattle and sheep that we run on our farms, lack of rain does have a massive impact on that. This last year, we've been having to feed a lot of hay. We make our own hay on the farm, but we've actually had to buy in a bit more from neighbours, luckily, over the last 12 months. But we're constantly improving our pastures, so we will eventually get to the point where even in drought, the pastures will perform, but we will also be able to harvest in good times more resources to be able to get the farm and the stock through those tough times.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we've got a couple more minutes left, so I might just close on a nice big picture one. So what's your long-term vision, the 10-year vision? What would success look like for investors in Hillview Farm?
Look, having done what I said before with getting the footprint of the agritourism side of the business humming along and being able to franchise or on-sell that side of the business. Whether I want to farm for my whole life, my parents have, and I think at some point we probably want to step back. And I would say hopefully by that point, we will have management systems in place. We'll have enough staffing in place that the business is able to operate itself and continually increase the profit that we're making out of it. There is really no limit to the size this can go. We don't want to be anything like what Coles and Woolworths are. We always want the farms and our own farm to be the main point of success. So I guess financial success for ourselves, but enabling success for every other small farmer out there trying to make a go of it.
I see success, can I just say, one is happy customers getting their boxes at home, happy community in the multiple shops that we have that are thriving, because just seeing those customers who are so grateful that we have fresh herbs for their dinner and then tagging us in their photos, that's what it's all about for us. So having happy communities, happy customers, and then people who have been able to relax and unwind on the farm and switch off from, the busyness of life. That's the success from the customer's point of view for me. But yes, financial success is, the big picture for everyone, for the farmers, for us,
for shareholders.
For shareholders, for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, we want the business to be long-term, sustainable, and highly profitable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect place to leave it. Ashley, Jason, thank you so much for sharing your story and the journey so far. As I mentioned earlier, for investors who have joined us, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you got a lot out of the discussion. I certainly learned a lot that I didn't know before. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your Wednesday.